This episode of HatTrick is presented by Running Down the Clock. Tyler Walzak and Poya Riesi co-host an awesome NFL show every week of the regular season and playoffs. And this Thursday, they have their Super Bowl preview show. Listen in to hear two fans talk to fans about football. Available everywhere you get your podcasts. Hello, welcome to HatTrick. I am Jordan Dowler-Coltman, joined this week, of course, by Braydon and by Elliott, and we have a very special guest, Poya Riesi, the co-host of Running Down the Clock, the Ordinary Podcasting Network. Every Thursday during the NFL season, Poya, you and your buddy Tyler break down the games. You tell us about what all the storylines have been. And I know last week you spent most of your show talking about the WWF or E, but most of the time it's about football. And we're so happy to have you here this week because obviously we are now in the week leading up to the Super Bowl. Lots of storylines leading into that. We're going to have lots of football talk on the show. We're going to sneak a little hockey in there too, because what the hell. But first off, welcome to the show, Poya. Thank you for being with us. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much. Speaking of hockey, I actually got a hockey game tonight myself, late night game. So I'll be jetting to that right after this.
Sick. There you go. So you'll be able to be an expert for both of the two sports we're going to cover tonight. This should be fun. Let's get to it. Here's topic one. All right. So as I teased there, we are going to talk a little bit about a little bit of a hockey game, if you can call what occurred this weekend a hockey game. It was certainly a hockey event, and I think the NHL takes a lot of pride in it. There was also, of course, an NFL event, and it's not the Super Bowl, nor is it 80 for Brady, which, of course, was the biggest football story of the weekend, really. But first, we had the Pro Bowl and the NHL All Star game all on the same weekend. So a bunch of games that meant absolutely nothing for two of the biggest leagues in North America. I'll go to Braydon first because I have a feeling of all of the people sitting here, this might be the one guy who still clings to that 9-year-old inside him that really enjoyed watching an All-Star game. Braydon, first question is, did you watch the All-Star game for the NHL or frankly the Pro Bowl? Did you watch either of these events and did you enjoy them?
So yeah, I definitely hold on to the 9-year-old fandom that is the All-Star game, the fun of having the best of the best together, play some sort of benefit, some sort of fun game. I watched the NHL 3-on-3 as well as the skills competition, if you can even call it that. And I didn't watch the pro game itself, the flag football, but I did watch a version of dodgeball because I guess that's now in the All-Star game. I want to be with everyone else who loves, bringing fans together to really celebrate the skill and the stardom in both of these leagues. But these games are becoming more and more of a joke. It's so hard to watch. Most exciting thing to watch was Connor actually doing the event, actually performing the skill that is accuracy shooting. You had a dunk tank. It was just ridiculous. I'm finding it so much harder to watch these things. It's harder to really be into it and get behind it all.
Okay, so let's talk about the Pro Bowl for a second, or I guess the Pro Bowl games, as it's now called. Poya, you and Tyler talked on Thursday about some of the events that they were scheduled to do at this thing. It's obviously now like a 7-on-7 flag football game for what used to actually be, again, a very gentle game of tackle football. It used to just happen in Hawaii or something, right? It was like a free vacation for the guys who got in it. But you guys talked about some of the events. There was a water balloon toss. There was this event where they were tied to a wall and some of the big guys had to pull a wall. And then obviously Braydon mentioned the dodgeball game. You guys kind of were joking about it beforehand. Did you watch any of it? And if whether you watched it or not, what's happened to the Pro Bowl, man?
I didn't watch it. I saw highlights of it. My question about all of it is, first off, I'll say I appreciate that they're trying new things to try and make it interesting because these all-star games have been slipping for years in a lot of sports where they're not interesting. I can appreciate they're making an effort to do something. My question about this, who is this directed at? What's the target market? A lot of people who are passionate about football, they don't really care about these egg toss events, tossing water balloons. It's a lot of novelty stuff. One thing I know they do in basketball is for the dunk competition, they don't get the all-stars always. They get people around the league who are good at dunking. So you're not limiting to those who are in the games, because you might see the fastest guy in the league might not be an all-star. So I don't know who these are for. A lot of them just seem kind of irrelevant, pointless, arbitrary games that they're just picking out of a hat. Let's see them do this. Like it's a circus act. I don't know who's really interested in watching this. Who's the target demographic for it?
For sure. Elliott, are you the target demographic? Did you watch either the Pro Bowl or the NHL All Star game?
No, but I will tell you, like, I mean, it's silly. Like, let's watch like elite athletes play high school gym sports. That's going to be fun. Yeah, that's really cool. That's exciting. The only thing worse than the actual games itself and the events was having to listen to Kevin Bieksa try and commentate as though it was a real hockey game and there was something going on. I caught some of that on social media, and that was ridiculous. Like trying to break down a 3-on-3 rush in which they're trying to pass 7 times because literally no one wants to shoot. Yeah, that's really what I want out of this. I will take a somewhat different approach, though. I think these events are incredibly important to these leagues, particularly at NHL, because they serve an important purpose. They serve an important purpose for the league around sponsorship, rewarding their sponsors and getting people excited about hockey, and activating certain markets. And I think Florida never looked better. I now feel a little bit more comfortable with Florida being a hockey place. It's never really mattered to me. But they did a good job.
They should be playing golf in an all-star game.
Look, I'm not saying it's perfect.
They played golf in the Pro Bowl too. Wasn't there like a longest drive competition too? We're not even having these professional athletes who are the best in the world at their sports play their own sports anymore. Now they're doing something else.
Like I said, Jim, but the point still stands. This is important for the league in terms of what it does from a business perspective, particularly around sponsorship and drumming up entertainment. I understand that, and that seems to be a business thing more than anything else. It's the who's who of hockey coming together in a place to drum up business activity in that place and say it was because of the league. And in new markets or unconventional markets, it serves a purpose from a business standpoint. But unfortunately, business and sports and entertainment, as we know on a bunch of different fronts, you generally can't hit all three. And so, then you end up getting what you get.
All right. I don't want to belabor this whole point. Obviously, the All-Star game is not as prestigious as perhaps it once was, or the Pro Bowl for that matter. Let me finish with this really quickly, and we'll try to keep it brief because we got a lot of coverage here on the Super Bowl. But I haven't asked any of you to do the homework on this, so you're on the spot with this one. But just for a second, like Poya said, and I think Elliott, you called them like gym games or something. I think Poya on your guys' show on the weekend, you called it like sports day, which is totally what it feels like. It's like intramurals. What's the one thing you'd like one of these professional athletes to do at one of these events that they haven't done? Like, what's the one skill you think a hockey player has in a different way that would be an interesting twist? Now, the previous ones that, like with the NHL side of it, the last two, Vegas and now Florida, they've tried to make like a little local flavor. So last year they did like an accuracy shooting thing out on the Bellagio fountain, right? This year, obviously, they had that silly golf course thing. They also did the thing where they were shooting pucks at surfboards for the dunk tank. If you've got the Pro Bowl guys now throwing water balloons at each other, what's the thing you'd like to see a football player do or a hockey player do that isn't in their own sport? If you can think, again, I'm totally putting you guys on the spot, so I apologize. Anybody want to? Yeah, Braydon, go first.
For me, the biggest thing is, I think what's going against what's really hard for these All-Star games is that we have the emergence of the internet. We have high skill everywhere. So being able to see top talent performing in skills competitions, I want to see the top end talent in the dunk contest. I want to see LeBron James. For example, seeing Connor in a competition other than skating. That's what I want to see.
So it's kind of a cop-out answer, but I don't have an exact answer of what I'd like to see. But one thing that these All-Star games do showcase is the personality of the players. It lets the fans kind of see the players, the lighter side of them, right? Because you can't put the competition in these events the same way as they do the normal course of the season, because you risk injuries. It's not a friendly situation when you're putting opposing guys together. and getting them to really compete. So you don't see that real competition in the All-Star games. So it's a better chance to get these guys to actually show their personalities. I know there's been a lot of complaints about hockey players kind of have a very dry personality. It's very plain, like they all give the same interview. It's been cliched a million times. But in the All-Star games, you can actually get to kind of connect to the players. So give them an opportunity to maybe control the All-Star games and the events themselves. Like let the players take over. Don't let the league decide what to do. Put it in the hands of the players. Let them showcase what they want an All-Star game to seem like. And the fans will connect better with the players knowing that this is what they want to do. This is what they want to showcase. And it'll just be more relatable for everybody.
Authenticity. Elliott, you want to take us out? Last one for this one?
Drag show. I want to see Connor McDavid walk down a runway in high heels. He's got the feet for it.
All right. Well, try selling that to the New York Rangers, who wouldn't even go out in pride jerseys for their pride night.
Have you seen his socks? He's not going to cut it in a drag show.
All right. That's topic one. Topic two this week is brought to us by the Ordinary Podcasting Network's merchandise store. You head over to ordinarypodcasts.com right now. You will see that brand new merchandise has been dropping for the last week and a half. New items for a couple of our biggest shows are available now. You can go find a awesome sweatshirt and hat combo for running down the clock, perfect for your Super Bowl party. And the MCU and Me podcast has a whole bunch of t-shirts. Trust me, there will be spoilers. Head over there today to grab something to represent your favorite podcast. All right. The reason Poya is here in the first place is to talk about the Super Bowl. So we better get to it, Poya. Obviously, you know, you guys covered the championship round on your show this week. You talked a lot about sort of the matchup, the fact that the Eagles definitely had a much easier time getting through San Francisco once they had no quarterbacks left. And obviously on the other side, we had a much closer game coming down to a field goal. So we have the Eagles and we've got the Chiefs. Obviously, you know, both of these teams present very interesting storylines. The Eagles have been pretty consistent, let's say, throughout the entire season. They haven't really had too much adversity. Obviously, Jalen Hurts getting hurt was part of that, but even still, the team looked pretty strong. They put themselves in a good position. It looks from the outside, though, like the Chiefs' adversity is happening right now because we don't know the status of Mahomes' ankle. However, he did win with half an ankle against a very good Bengals team. When you look at this matchup, what is the tastiest part of it for you? What are you most looking forward to for Sunday?
I think I mentioned it on our podcast that I personally don't think we've seen the Eagles play their best game. In none of the games that have counted this year that have mattered has it been close. It's been a massive blowout by them every time. And that's just because the opposition didn't show up or they had injuries or whatever the circumstance was. Kansas City is not really a joke of a team. They've perennially, since Mahomes has been there, been in a championship game or been to the Super Bowl. They are been a contender every year. So I'm excited to actually see a potential good matchup. Now, if Mahomes isn't playing at his best, I think it'll just going to be the same thing. It's, you know, he is the heart and soul of that team. If he can't show up, if he's not there, but he's got 2 weeks, I think he will be there. And I think he'll put it all on the line. The biggest storyline for me, though, is just the reffing. Like, I'm very curious to see how the reffing goes. It's been far too inconsistent for a lot of people. And I don't think anyone wants to see a Super Bowl again decided by the refs.
Yeah, you guys talked about that on the weekend, obviously, or pardon me, on Thursday this week about how you just felt like the refereeing has been questionable, let's say. I think there was some conspiracy theory talk as well about whether or not there's really some dark hands and shadows and, you know, behind the curtain kind of stuff going on. But the reality is the Super Bowl is always one of those games that's kind of, it's two halves, right? You have the first half where some teams don't show up right away or both teams don't show up. We've seen a lot of slow starts in the Super Bowl. It's got that really long halftime with the show. And then the second half is like its own little football game. So when you look at these two teams, which team do you think has the advantage just in terms of the stage? Obviously, we know Mahomes has been here more recently. Jalen Hurts has not been here yet, but a lot of these guys on the Eagles, I think some of their veterans maybe are still around from the previous championship where they were able to beat Brady. Like, who do you give the edge to? We know where Vegas has put the line, but who do you give the edge? I'm not asking you for your pick yet, but like, how do you see this part playing out? And then I'm going to let Braydon and Elliott in on it.
I think the advantage mentally has to be Kansas City. Everything's going for them. Like, they are the favorite team. They've been there. They know what to do. All their players are experienced in these big games. Now, I'm going to give you my pick. I'm going to take the Eagles just because two things. I love watching history repeat itself. I think we had the same NBA winners. We had the same baseball winners. And if the Eagles win, we'll have the same NFL winners as we did a few years back. So that'd be a trifecta there, which I like. But also, I just like the underdogs. I always take the underdogs, the people who've been counted out. And I know I've mentioned it before in our podcast about Jalen Hurts. A lot of people didn't think he was good. He lost out for the MVP to Mahomes. So I think he's got a lot more to prove. And I think he's fully capable of proving it. And I think everybody on his team is as good as anybody on the Chiefs. So I think they definitely have the potential. It's the mental game. It'll come down to the mental game, whether they believe they can hang. And I think they can. They do believe. They got the faith in themselves.
All right, Elliott, I'll let you in on this now. What are you looking forward to Sunday? What gets you up for this game? You know, where's your focus?
Well, the Super Bowl is the sports spectacle of the year. And there's a number of narratives and competing narratives that go into it. Generally, this year, the narrative is all around Patrick Mahomes and his health and whether he's going to be able to move or not. And I think that's going to have an outsized impact on this game. I think you're going to see a lot of schemes from Philadelphia's defense. It's going to push him out of the pocket. They're going to see if he can and he will be able to move. And whether he is or he isn't is really going to have a huge impact psychologically and potentially from a scoring standpoint on this game. And I think everyone's going to be watching that. Everyone wants to know. And if Philadelphia is able to apply that pressure and get him to move, then that will be the story. And that's where the game will start, from a psychological game at start. And we know this is a game of momentum. So I'm really looking forward to that first quarter. Generally, it's sloppy football. But if Philadelphia clearly is going to attack Mahomes wants him to move, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can and how that will dictate the momentum for the rest of the game.
All right, Braydon, round us out here. Super Bowl this Sunday. You're there to sit there on the couch and watch it. What do you want? What do you want out of this game?
I want I want a good football game. I'm just thrilled that there's a football game happening after, or in the midst of an amazing performance by Rihanna. It's her first time back to the stage in 10 years. It's going to be fantastic. I think this is an epic Super Bowl, and it will be headlined by Rihanna. My pick is the Eagles. I think the Eagles able to do this. I was really not convinced Mahomes was going to be able to get into the finals. The fact that he and that team is amazing. I just don't think that ankle's going to be able to hold up to win the whole thing.
All right. Well, Elliott, let's finish this topic off here before we go to our picks topic, because we've already got two guys making picks, neither of them playing by the rules. So Poya, you took the Eagles. Braydon, you took the Eagles. Elliott, you going to be the outlier here, or are you taking the Eagles?
No, of course I'm going to be the outlier. Why not? I think it's going to be a triumphant victory for Patrick Mahomes on the back of Patrick Mahomes. Not only will he be the MVP, but he's going to throw 4 touchdowns. Actually, wow. He's going to throw 3 touchdowns, and he's going to rush for 1 to say F you about my ankle.
It'll be a 1-yard rush.
It's going to be a cheesy victory.
I like it. All right. All right, let's leave it there. That's topic 2. Hey. Are you looking for a brand new podcast? Well, trust me, look no further than the Ellipses Thinking Podcast, a presentation of the Ordinary Podcasting Network. Greg Deller-Coltman sits down every other week with an interesting and creative person to talk about the journey that they are on through their own creative process. You can find the Ellipses Thinking Podcast everywhere you get your podcasts. All right, well, topic 3 was supposed to be our Super Bowl picks and prop bets. We've done our Super Bowl picks. That's fine. It gives us a little more time to do some of these prop bets. I always like playing this game because it's one of the funnest parts of the whole Super Bowl experience. There's always these ridiculous prop bets that Vegas and the betting books offer. And you can go and you can find these, just these odd lines on weird things, put a little bit of money down. So we're going to play a little game here. I'm going to give you some prop bets. You can each make a pick on it, and we'll keep track of it. Maybe next week we'll sort of see who did the best. So the first one up is before the game's even started. Chris Stapleton, country music superstar, is going to sing the U.S. national anthem. The length of the anthem is a very popular prop bet. The question the average length of the national anthem, the American national anthem, is 2 minutes and 5 seconds. So the question, it's an over under. Does Chris Stapleton put his own twist on the whole thing? And does he go over 2.5 or 2.5 minutes? Or does he, get down to business, make it nice and quick, nice and tidy? And is it under 2.5 minutes? Braydon, taking the over or the under 2 minutes?
I'm taking over. Chris Stapleton's a bit of a thingy kind of guy, and I have a feeling he will indulge in that.
All right, Poya, you going over or under 2 minutes?
Over for sure. They country guys sing slow, and I think this guy's known for singing slow.
All right, Elliott, you want to be the outlier again?
Absolutely not. Not on this one. Not on it's country. It's the Super Bowl. I think the over should be 3 minutes, and I'd probably still think.
Okay, I'm going to take the under just for fun. I think he does it in 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Okay, next up is the coin toss. This is even simpler. Heads or tails, Poya? What you got?
Tails.
Okay, Braydon? Heads. Elliott?
I mean, the real question is, are you even going to be able to tell what is a head and what's a tail on these coins? Like, they're just always ridiculous and over the top. Tails.
Hey, the rest will decide.
Tails. All right, I'll take heads with Braydon. Okay, next. This is kind of a funny one. And I've only got 2 options for you. It depends how well you know both of these 2 teams. Let's find out here. Who will be the first player that the production truck cuts to on the sidelines during the anthem, tears rolling down their face, moved by the emotion of the Star Spangled Banner? Will it be Travis Kelce or AJ Brown? Poya, who you got?
2 options?
Those are the only 2 options Vegas is giving you.
Oh, out of those 2, I'm going Kelce.
Okay. Poya's taking Kelce. Braydon, who you got?
I'm taking Kelce too. Either one of them. I know that the other Kelce brother isn't one of the options, but I think that there's going to be a lot of focus and narrative media attention on those guys.
Elliott?
There's nothing the NFL loves more than a black man singing the anthem. I'm going AJ Brown.
All right. I'll go with Kelce as well. Bigger name, bigger star. And he's a character. All right, let's jump ahead to Braydon's favorite part of the entire show. We got the Super Bowl halftime. One of the most popular bets is the first song she's going to sing, but there's far too many options, so we're not going to play that game. Instead, we're going to go with what color do you think Rihanna's first outfit in the halftime is going to be? I'm going to give you 4 options: black, gold, silver, or white. Braydon, what you got? Black, gold, silver, or white?
Oh boy, I'm going with black.
All right, Braydon's taking black. Poya, what do you got?
Going with black, but I don't think it's going to be any of those. I think it's going to be a lot more colors.
Okay, fair enough. You can take the other. I'll give you the other. How about that? Other.
The other.
I like that. All right, Elliott, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm going other too. I'm going to say sequins. They're really
but sequins is a texture. That's not a color.
Rihanna and sequins.
All right, Elliott's going with sequins, whatever color that is. I'll go with gold. I have no idea. All right, 2 more here. Well, actually, it's really just 1 more because we were going to do picks. But here's the big one. We've already picked our winners. So the big question is, how many times throughout the course of the game does that camera truck cut to Roger Goodell in his box? Okay, and it's an over under twice. This feels like easy money. But does anyone want to take the under here? Really? Elliott, you taking the over, the under?
This is during the game, like not
during the game, not the post game, obviously, because he's on the field. In his box, sitting there eating nachos. They catch him sometimes in those like awkward moments where he's making some face about something out of context. Over under twice. We see Roger Goodell in the owner's box.
During the game, I'll take the under.
Wow. Okay. Poya?
No, I'm going over.
And Braydon?
I'm going to take under as well. I think they're going to find other things to.
Okay. Last one here. And this is a big one. We've all made our picks on who you think is winning, right? And those are, some good picks. But here's the big one. When they win, what color Gatorade is being dumped on the head coach? This is a classic. Here are your colors: blue, red, white, or clear, I guess, like the nondescript. It's basically just water, purple, or other. Red, blue, purple, clear or other. Elliott, you were right last year.
Yeah, last year, what was it? I was right. Was it purple or was it
Yeah,
clear?
I think it was.
I'll go clear.
Clear. Okay. Poya?
If Philly wins, clear. If the Chiefs win, orange. That's what I'm going with.
Ooh, that's a good
All right.
one.
All right. Braydon?
I'm going with that berry blitz. That
The
blue.
blue. All right. And I will take purple because it won last year. All right. Thank you guys for doing this. I really appreciate your time, Poya. I hope you had a little bit of fun with us here. We will keep track. There's no prize here other than bragging rights, I guess, for next year. But I have all of your picks down. So next week we'll find out who won and who didn't. As a quick, just as we wrap it up here, obviously, Poya, Tyler, you guys are going to have your own Super Bowl preview this Thursday. So just give us a sense of what you guys think you're going to talk about. What are the big things for that? Here's the question. I know Tyler usually leads you into the hornet's nest with hot takes, but you have the floor. He's not here. Look, you got like your own timeout right now. Okay. Tell me what you want Tyler to talk about and what he doesn't want to deal with.
Well, there's kind of a misconception that Tyler leads me into stuff. I send him all this stuff off the air, and then he just sets it up. That's all.
All right.
I think he gets a little more credit than I get, but I send him a lot of these facts beforehand. He just takes credit for the facts, and I'm cool with that. That's just the dynamic of the show. But I think we're leaning towards a lot more of our personal lives interweaved into the Super Bowl, because a lot of these stories everybody already knows, right? You open up Instagram, you open up the news on the Super Bowl, you're going to see everything. There's nothing we're going to tell you that anybody else doesn't know. So we'll just try and make it a little more entertaining and add our personal flair to it. That's all.
All right. That, for example, I if listeners haven't listened already, there was a conversation last week about wrestling animals in the WWE, I believe, and determining whether or not anyway, you should go listen to their show. It's really, really good. Check it out wherever you get your podcast. It's running down the clock. Poya, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us. Elliott, Braydon, as always, thanks for being here. And for everybody else out there, we appreciate it. Enjoy the Super Bowl this Sunday. Let us know what your picks for all of our prop bets, or if you've got even better prop bets, something really weird and out there, hit us up on Instagram or Twitter. Let us know what you think. And as always, thank you for listening. That was HatTrick. HatTrick is a member of the Ordinary Podcasting Network. It's produced every week by Jordan Dowler-Coltman and Braydon Dowler-Coltman. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Thanks for listening.
The Ordinary Podcasting Network wishes to acknowledge that the lands on which our conversations take place include Treaty 6 territory, the traditional meeting ground and home for many Indigenous peoples, including the Cree, Dene, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Métis, and the Nakota Sioux peoples, as well as the unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, including the territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations.
We acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit whose footsteps have marked these lands for generations. And we extend our appreciation for the opportunity to live, create, and share stories on these territories.
The Ordinary Podcasting Network intends to engage in conversations and dialogue which acknowledge that reconciliation is not a destination, but a journey, and that we remain committed to practicing our craft in a decolonized space.